This is Speaking of Writers. I'm Steve Richards. The book is Freyan Legends, Heroes of Eagalia, and the author is Trevor Ward. Trevor, welcome to this program.
Hi, glad to be here.
What was the inspiration behind this book?
Being a fantasy book, I'd say like my biggest inspiration would probably be the works of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that.
This character of Shay, how did you create Shay?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Shay is, in all seriousness, a self-insert power fantasy. I myself am not very talented in many things. I'm just a normal person. I just spend all my free time playing video games and watching movies. So I don't really stand out in a crowd. So.
Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I was born in Grand Forks in 1998 and just recently learned that it is, in fact, not spelled with an E. That would have been very good to know earlier. I spent my childhood over in St. Peter, Minnesota. Again, just pretty much just watching movies, playing video games.
Well, how did you get into writing?
Well, in middle school, I had the same, fantasies of becoming rich and famous like everyone in the world. But I suddenly realized that, being just some random nobody from Minnesota, the odds of that are astronomically low. So I figured if I really want to make a mark in history, then I'm going to need to do something else. So brainstorming ideas, I came to the realization, hey, stories are pretty interesting. Maybe I could write a few of my own. And so after 2 failed attempts of very poorly written stories, in hindsight, I started working on this. So years later, here we are.
Did you always know that you were a pretty good storyteller?
No, I kind of just started doing it, realized that I enjoyed it, so I kept doing it, and here we are.
We're chatting with Trevor Ward. His new book is Freyan Legends, Heroes of Eagalia, and this book is available, by the way, at writersrepublic.com, also Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com as well. What was the feeling like, Trevor, when you got this book published?
I'd say one feeling I felt was relief.
Was it an enjoyable experience for you?
A little nerve-wracking, but yes.
Are you working on a future book?
Several, in fact, yes.
Oh, so now you're really getting going on the writing.
Yeah, like one problem I have is that my brain never shuts up. It's very hard to sleep at night because of that. So I figured, hey, since I got all these ideas coming at me nonstop like a Gatling gun, I figured, hey, might as well use them for something. So I take those ideas and implement them into my fantasy malarkey.
So are you constantly taking notes when these ideas come into your head?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you said you're working on a couple of books to come after this one, Freyan Legends, Heroes of Eagalia.
Many, yes. Like I said, I get a lot of ideas that they are coming nonstop.
Can you give us a sneak peek on the what the next book is about?
That's actually quite difficult because I have a few in the work. Many of them are also will also be a part of the Freyan Legends series because I want to make a whole series out of this detailing historical events in this world of mine. Whereas I do have a few others that, while not part of the Freyan Legends series, are all part of the bigger interconnected universe.
How is it, Trevor, writing 2 books at once? Is it hard to go back and forth?
Not really, because I tend to focus on one at a time for a while, and then if I start to get more ideas on a different one, then I focus on that for a little bit. What
genres do you like to read?
Sci-fi fantasy.
Any authors inspire you?
Well, like I mentioned, Tolkien, of course. Much more recently, the works of Martin with Game of Thrones.
And what would you like readers to take away from this first in this series of Freyan Legends?
Speaking from personal experience, I'd say if you have thoughts that maybe you might want to start writing stories and you have ideas to write stories, go for it.
All right, he's Trevor Ward. The book is Freyan Legends, Heroes of Eagalia, the first in a series. It is available again at writersrepublic.com, also Amazon.com, and BarnesandNoble.com as well. Trevor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And this is Speaking of Writers.